Hillary didn't begin with a slow burn but with an explosion. Jason Miller, a rock musician with a devoted fanbase, woke to chaos that seemed impossible to contain. Overnight, a clip of him on stage was stripped of its meaning, cut mid-sentence, and weaponized. Headlines screamed, "Miller mocks tragedy," though he had said the opposite. Sponsors were already pulling contracts. The internet howled with fury. Jason sat in a dim apartment, scrolling through feeds where once glowing praise had turned venomous. He whispered, "They don't even know what I said." His phone buzzed endlessly, not with comfort but with warnings and threats. Every vibration pressed deeper into his chest. Thorm had no pause button, no space to explain. In one night, applause had turned into a chorus of rage, and Jason's name was no longer his own, it was a target. The hashtag #CancelMiller was spreading like wildfire. Jason tried typing a response, deleting it, then typing again, his fingers shaking. He thought, if I explain, they'll understand. But every second made it worse. Thousands of strangers were shouting, "Fraud! Monster! Career over!" In his apartment, silence pressed in louder than the digital noise. He muttered, "It was just a joke, taken wrong." His manager's name flashed on the phone, and Jason let it ring. He knew what it meant. Damage control. Apologies drafted by people who didn't care what was true. His stomach turned as he whispered, "They don't want the truth. They want blood." The world outside his window kept moving, but inside his name was burning alive. Jason's phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't his manager but his closest friend, Mark. He hesitated before answering. Mark said, "Man, this is everywhere." Jason replied, "You know I didn't mean it like that." Silence stretched. Then Mark said, "I can't say anything right now. It'll drag me into it too." The words hit harder than any headline. Jason leaned back, heart racing, realizing friendship had boundaries, and his crisis was outside them. His phone buzzed again, new notifications piling like stones. Jason whispered, "So I lose him too." The betrayal wasn't loud or dramatic. It was a whisper, a silence, and the weight of standing alone. Jason scrolled through emails, his pulse quickening. "We regret to inform you," one began. Another read, "Partnership suspended pending review." They weren't just words, they were lifelines being cut. He whispered, "They didn't even call." His phone buzzed again, another notification. He slammed it face down on the table, but the vibration still rattled the wood. His name was a brand no one wanted to touch. The same people who once fought to sponsor him were now racing to erase him. He pressed palms to his eyes, trying to block out the sound of his own unraveling. The storm was no longer online. It was in his veins. By nightfall the city was alive with lights, but Jason's world had collapsed into darkness. Fans once chanting his name now filled comment threads with hatred. He whispered, "They loved me yesterday." His guitar sat untouched in the corner, silent. The walls of his apartment seemed to shrink with every notification, every email. He turned off the phone, but silence wasn't peace. It was heavier, lonelier. He sank to the floor, knees drawn to chest, the glow of city lights sneaking through blinds. A career, a name, and a future felt like they had been stolen in less than 24 hours. Jason muttered, "This isn't real. It can't be real." But it was, and the night stretched long with no end in sight. The chaos outside blurred into static. But Jason remembered the boy who once strummed chords on a cracked guitar in his parents' garage. He wasn't born famous. He clawed his way up, gig by gig, until the world finally knew his name. Now he sat in that same silence, replaying who he had been before the mob. His fingers hovered above the strings of a guitar resting against the wall, but he didn't touch it. He muttered, "That kid didn't dream of hashtags." He closed his eyes, picturing his first concert, the roar of fans, his mother's tears of pride. That boy was still alive inside him, yet now trapped under a pile of accusations. The world saw a monster, but Jason only saw a dreamer who wanted to make people feel less alone through music. Hours later, Jason called his younger sister Emily, the one who always reminded him who he really was. Emily, 29, picked up with hesitation. "Jason, what's happening?" she asked, voice trembling. He answered, "They cut the clip, twisted it." Silence stretched before she whispered, "I know you. You're not cruel." Jason gripped the phone tightly, his throat burning. He muttered, "They won't listen." Emily replied, "Then I'll listen." For a fleeting moment, he felt seen. But he also heard the weight in her voice. She was scared too. Jason leaned against the wall, whispering, "You're the only one who still believes." That fragile tether to family steadied him, even as the world screamed louder. Jason set the phone down, staring at the ceiling, whispering to himself, "They hate me, but she doesn't." The apartment was suffocating, filled with reminders of what he had built and what was now burning. He scrolled through comments again, daring to find one voice of support, but venom drowned them all. His heart pounded, wondering if any of his bandmates would reach out, but silence mocked him. He muttered, "Was it all just business?" Each second became a test of endurance. Jason's pulse raced at every new notification, though he couldn't stop checking. The apartment lights buzzed faintly, filling the silence with static. He whispered, "If I vanish, would anyone notice?" And the echo of his own voice answered back. Jason's phone rang again. This time it was his father, Richard, 62, a stern man who rarely showed softness. Jason hesitated, then answered. Richard's voice was clipped. "What have you done?" Jason winced, whispering, "It's not what they're saying." Richard replied, "Your name is everywhere. Do you know what this means for us?" Jason felt the words like knives. He pleaded, "Dad, please, believe me." Silence followed, heavier than any accusation. Then Richard said, "I can't be part of this," before the line went dead. Jason dropped the phone, breath shattering, realizing that even blood ties could break under shame. His father's silence spoke louder than the mob ever could. The night deepened, but Jason's small apartment felt more like a prison. Amid the storm, one person dared to call. His friend Sarah, 33, loyal to a fault, spoke quietly, "Jason, I believe you." Jason closed his eyes, whispering, "Why risk it?" Sarah answered, "Because truth doesn't scare me." He let out a laugh that cracked like glass, muttering, "You'll be hated too." Sarah replied, "Then let them hate us both." The words carried warmth Jason hadn't felt all day. Even if the world saw him as a villain, he wasn't entirely abandoned. That fragile defiance flickered to life in him, a reminder that loyalty still existed. For the first time since the chaos began, Jason felt something close to hope. Jason's inbox became a graveyard of partnerships. One by one, contracts he once celebrated were now terminated effective immediately. The words felt less like letters, and more like blades. He whispered, "They didn't even ask for my side." His hand hovered over an email from his biggest sponsor, and with one click, it was gone. He leaned back, hearing his own breath grow ragged, muttering, "I'm disposable." Jason thought of every billboard that once carried his face, already replaced by someone safer, shinier. His name was no longer profitable, and in this world, profit was all that mattered. He whispered, "Was I ever more than a product to them?" His stomach knotted with the sting of betrayal by those who once claimed loyalty. Behind the scenes, his colleague Adam, 36, had been waiting for this moment. Once a background player in Jason's circle, Adam was quietly feeding the fire. He whispered to others, "I always knew he was reckless." Messages leaked, each one planting seeds of doubt. Jason scrolled through threads, realizing someone close was adding fuel. His stomach dropped. He whispered, "Adam." The betrayal wasn't loud, it was surgical. Adam wanted the spotlight Jason had, and now he saw a clear path to it. Jason's chest tightened, realizing betrayal often wore the mask of friendship. He muttered, "You smiled to my face while you carved me apart." The enabler had stepped out of the shadows, using Jason's ruin to rise. Jason tried calling his family again, hoping to hear some kind of support, but the line was quiet. His sister Emily had stopped answering after their last talk, and his father's silence was louder than anger. Jason sat in the dark, whispering, "Am I poison to you too?" He checked his voicemail. One new message. It wasn't comfort, but a clipped voice from his uncle saying, "Keep us out of this mess." Jason dropped the phone, his chest caving. Even blood ties were breaking thread by thread. He muttered, "I've lost them." The loneliness was suffocating, every wall of the apartment pressing closer. It wasn't the mob outside that hurt the most, it was the silence inside. As Jason's reputation bled, the mob dug deeper. Old posts resurfaced, jokes from years ago, twisted into new evidence. Headlines screamed, "Pattern of behavior." Jason scrolled in disbelief. He whispered, "That was 10 years ago." Screenshots filled his feed, out of context but now weaponized. Every word became proof of guilt. He muttered, "They don't care what's true." His stomach turned, the weight of being haunted by his own digital shadow pressing down. He slammed laptop shut, pacing. His voice cracked, "I'm fighting ghosts." The storm wasn't about one clip anymore. It was everything he had ever said, now repackaged as ammunition. His past had been dug up, reshaped, and used to bury him alive. Jason thought he had reached the bottom, but betrayal still had deeper cuts. Mark, his closest friend, spoke on a podcast. "I can't defend him. He crossed the line." Jason froze, listening to the voice of the man who once promised loyalty. He whispered, "Mark, you too." His chest hollowed, realizing his confidant had chosen distance over truth. Worse, Mark wasn't just silent, he was aligning with the mob. Jason muttered, all those nights, all those secrets, now worthless. The pain wasn't just loss, it was humiliation. His enemy wasn't always the stranger online. Sometimes it was the voice he trusted most. That fracture was final. The mob took his name, but his friend took his soul. Jason was scrolling through endless accusations when something unusual appeared, a DM from a stranger. The message read, "I was at that show. I recorded the whole thing." His heart pounded as he clicked. The clip wasn't the same viral cut. It showed the full sentence, his actual words of compassion. He whispered, "This is the truth." His pulse raced, but fear followed quickly. Would anyone even care about context now? He muttered, "They don't want truth, they want a villain." Yet the seed of hope flickered. For the first time, Jason wasn't drowning. There was air. The storm wasn't entirely built on truth. It was built on manipulation. Jason replayed the full clip, volume low, hearing his own voice say the words that had been cut away. "We grieve with them, not mock them." His chest tightened. He muttered, "They erased this." The video showed him pausing on stage, eyes filled with sincerity. Jason pressed pause, staring at his own face, almost a stranger now. He whispered, "That's me. That's who I am." The rage inside him shifted to sorrow for how easily truth had been stolen. He realized his downfall wasn't just bad luck, but deliberate. Someone wanted this. He muttered, "It was never about what I said. It was about ending me." The mysterious DM sender revealed themselves. Claire, 28, a quiet stagehand from that night. She wrote, "I stayed silent because I was scared, but I can't anymore." Jason stared at the message, whispering, "She saw everything." Claire explained that she had the full recording and proof that the viral clip was cut intentionally. Jason's fingers trembled as he typed, "Why now?" Her reply appeared, "Because the weight of silence is killing me." For the first time, Jason felt the tide might turn. An outsider held the key to the truth. The question was whether she could withstand the mob's fury once she spoke. Jason thought about Adam, the colleague who had been whispering against him. Claire's message confirmed his suspicions. Adam had pushed the edited clip into the right hands. Jason's jaw tightened as betrayal crystallized. He muttered, "It was you all along." He replayed Adam's smirk, the false comfort, the ambition hidden beneath it. Jason's chest burned, not just with anger, but with clarity. This wasn't the faceless mob. This was personal. Someone close had poisoned the well. He whispered, "You didn't just want me gone, you wanted what was mine." It was no longer just about survival. It was about betrayal rooted in envy. The realization struck like thunder. The mob wasn't entirely wrong. But they weren't acting alone. Jason had been set up, his words sliced, his career engineered to collapse. He muttered, "This wasn't an accident. It was a plan." The discovery reframed everything. Jason wasn't just unlucky, he was a target. Betrayal by Adam, silence from friends, and a mob hungry for blood had created the perfect storm. He whispered, "They wanted a villain, and Adam gave them one." The rage inside him turned sharper, fueled by betrayal. For the first time, Jason's despair bent into resolve. He wasn't only fighting for his name now. He was fighting against a lie crafted to destroy him. Jason could no longer stay silent. He called Adam, hands trembling but voice sharp. "You cut me down," Jason said. Adam laughed coldly, replying, "You were always sloppy, Jason. I just gave people what they wanted." Jason clenched the phone tighter, fury burning through fear. He shouted, "You betrayed me, not them." Adam's voice stayed calm, venomous. "This business isn't about truth. It's about survival. You're finished." Jason's chest ached, his heart hammering against betrayal's weight. He whispered, "I'll show them what you did." The call ended, leaving Jason staring at the blank screen, rage boiling like fire he could no longer hold back. Jason hit record on his phone and uploaded the full concert clip with Claire's testimony attached. His hands shook as he pressed publish. He whispered, "Here's the truth." Within minutes, comments exploded. Some shouted, "Finally," while others called it fake. Jason sat frozen, watching the storm shift, his name now dragged in a new battle between truth and lies. He whispered, "Please, let them see." His pulse raced as shares grew, and suddenly he wasn't the only voice. Claire posted too, saying, "I was there." Jason stared at the screen, as if seeing light break through heavy storm clouds. It was messy, but it was a fight back. The internet fractured. Jason's name trended again, this time with #truthclip. Some rallied to him, demanding apologies from media outlets. Others doubled down, saying it was manipulation. Jason scrolled, whispering, "They're fighting over me." His face twisted in disbelief as he read both support and venom side by side. For the first time, there was noise that wasn't entirely against him. It felt chaotic, like standing in the middle of a riot where half the crowd reached out while the other half threw stones. His stomach churned, but his chest lifted slightly. He muttered, "At least I'm not voiceless anymore." Jason decided to go live. His hand hovered over the button, heart racing. Finally, he pressed it. His face appeared on countless screens, voice raw. "I never mocked them, I never would. Here's what they didn't show you." He played the clip for the world, his voice breaking as he said, "This is me." Viewers flooded in, comments racing past. Some typed hearts, others spat venom, but Jason no longer cared. For the first time he faced the mob directly. He whispered into the camera, "I am not the villain you made me." His hands trembled, but his eyes held fire. The live stream spread everywhere. News anchors played his words side by side with the uncut clip. Commentators shouted debates on live TV. Jason collapsed into his chair, chest heaving, whispering, "It's out now, no taking it back." His phone buzzed, Sarah's voice breaking through, "You did it. You fought." Jason pressed the phone to his ear, whispering, "I don't know if it's enough." Sarah replied, "It doesn't matter. They finally heard you." Jason's face cracked into something between a sob and a laugh. For the first time since the storm began, he felt like a man, not just a headline. The fallout stretched beyond Jason's walls. Old friends unfollowed him publicly, their silence a statement louder than words. He muttered, "They want to save themselves." Emails piled with phrases like "contract review," each one another door closing. Yet amid the wreckage, some fans shared his live stream, writing, "We believe you." Jason stared at those small sparks, whispering, "You're still here." The fracture was permanent, but loyalty had not entirely vanished. His career wasn't whole, but it wasn't dead either. He felt suspended between ruin and rebirth, knowing the world had shifted, and he would never return to who he once was. Sarah's call grounded him. Her voice carried conviction. "You're not alone." Jason exhaled, whispering, "You stayed." Sarah said, "Truth costs, but it matters." Jason leaned back, staring at ceiling cracks, feeling something fragile return. The world might not forgive, but one loyal voice made him believe survival was possible. He whispered, "Why risk this?" Sarah's reply, "Because silence is worse." Jason closed his eyes, a single tear slipping. For the first time in days, he didn't feel like prey. The loyalty of one voice pierced the roar of thousands. Claire, the stagehand, finally stepped forward publicly. She posted the full recording on her account, captioned, "This is what really happened." Jason read her words, whispering, "She risked it." Almost instantly, trolls targeted her, but her courage ignited others. More fans began reposting, demanding corrections. Jason felt both gratitude and guilt. He muttered, "She shouldn't have to carry this weight." Yet he knew her truth might be the final stone that shifted balance. The outsider had transformed into the voice that reframed everything. He whispered, "Thank you, Claire." Media outlets scrambled. Some doubled down, while others issued quiet retractions. One anchor said on air, "Context changes everything." Jason watched, whispering, "Now they see." Yet the mob was not unanimous. For every correction, there was fresh outrage. His reputation had not been restored, only reshaped. He realized that justice wasn't clean, it was messy. He muttered, "This isn't vindication, it's survival." Still, the weight on his chest eased slightly. The world had heard both sides, and that was more than he thought he'd get. As dawn broke, Jason sat by the window, guitar resting against his knee. He strummed softly, whispering, "This is mine. They can't take this." His world was scarred, his circle smaller, his trust fractured, yet the sound of strings filled the silence. Music was not applause, not headlines, but survival. Jason exhaled, closing his eyes as the first sunlight crept across the floor. He muttered, "I'm still here." It wasn't redemption, it wasn't triumph, it was endurance. The storm had not ended, but he had learned how to stand in the rain. The city outside hummed with indifference, but inside Jason's apartment, the silence carried the weight of 1,000 voices. He whispered, "The world keeps moving." His phone lay face down, vibrating with debates that no longer mattered. Jason's reflection in the window showed a man scarred but standing. He muttered, "I survived the fire." The skyline glittered with lights that neither condemned nor forgave. Jason understood that survival wasn't about winning the crowd back, but about not breaking under their judgment. His name might never be the same, but he was still breathing. That itself felt like defiance. Jason picked up his guitar again, fingers trembling as they pressed strings. Each note was fragile, carrying the weight of everything lost. He whispered, "This is mine." The sound filled the room, soft but defiant, echoing against bare walls. The music didn't erase the betrayal, the silence, the mob, but it reclaimed a part of him untouched by scandal. He muttered, "They can't cancel this." His reflection swayed faintly in the guitar's lacquered wood, a reminder of the boy who started this journey. For the first time, his music wasn't for applause, it was for survival. The phone rang again, this time with Emily's name flashing. Jason stared before answering. Her voice was tentative. "I'm sorry I went silent." Jason whispered, "I thought I lost you." Emily replied, "You never did. I was scared." Jason's throat tightened as he muttered, "So was I." The silence that followed wasn't heavy, it was healing. For all that was broken, not everything was gone. Family wasn't applause, it wasn't headlines, it was the voice that returned when the crowd grew quiet. Jason exhaled, whispering, "Thank you for coming back." Jason stepped outside for the first time in days. The street was alive with strangers who barely looked at him. No mobs, no cameras, just life moving forward. He whispered, "The world forgets faster than it forgives." A few glances lingered, but no one shouted. Jason pulled his hood tighter, heart pounding, realizing anonymity was both loss and freedom. He muttered, "I'm nobody again." The city air tasted sharp, the night alive with ordinary sounds. He was no longer the headline, he was just another man walking among millions. The weight lifted, but so did the spotlight. Back in his apartment, Jason stared at the camera one last time. He whispered, "They tried to erase me, but I'm still here." His eyes burned with exhaustion, but his voice cut sharp. "The truth survived, even if I don't." He ended the live stream, leaving the screen black. The silence that followed was louder than applause. Jason sank into the chair, whispering the final words only to himself. "Cancel me, but you can't kill me." His voice was both broken and unbreakable. That line would echo long after the feed had gone dark.